What is okay. Today I I want to stay in the lane that I've kind of been sharing and posting because I think there's so much to unfold. I think there's so much to still talk about. And before I get too deep into it, I want to stress something that is really, really important. When I talk about these things, it's not aimed at anyone. It's not anybody in specific, because I think the honest truth is obviously that it comes from elements of what I have experienced and what I've seen, but it is as much online as it is offline. It is as much one person as it is me seeing it in multiple people. And you will, for the majority of time, hear me talking about communities and websites like Twitch, like Twitter. So it's not geared towards anyone specifically. And the brutal truth is that if this resonates with you, if it hits you, if you think, "Wow, is he referring to me? Is he talking about me?" Chances are that you got something unresolved that you need to figure out. Because for anybody who knows me, who truly knows me, I wouldn't go to a YouTube video and sit an air out. But as I said, there are obviously things that I have or like can take from that are similar or that has like a reference to what I have experienced. But that means it's resolved for me. So it's not me sitting here trying to make anybody feel bad. If anything, when anybody manages to have that impact on me, and it's not just an overall type of thing, chances are that we've already spoken about it. So I just wanted to say that because I know that there are certain people who have sat and listened and watched who maybe have felt like that there were strays of like towards them, who they are. As I said, the honest truth for me is that if you feel like that, I'd probably say that like that's a you thing. And that's not to say that It's not to say that, if you're a person that I don't really talk to, or a person who's not in my inner circle, that it couldn't be you that have sparked an example, but then I will give you the comfort of saying, like, if you believe you're doing nothing wrong, but you feel like you're taking astray, chances are that you are doing something wrong, because it shouldn't be able to get to you if you believe you have done nothing wrong. That's the mentality that I live with. That's not to say that I'm always right, but the thing is, if I'm an insignificant person in your life and I'm not like in your close circle and you're not in my close circle, why does my opinion even matter to you? At least in a negative aspect. If it's in a positive, like, great. I love that. But just because you can relate and just because you can understand what I'm saying, and you may feel there's a certain type of connection, that doesn't make us friends, it doesn't make us bond, it doesn't make us anything more than a dude who sits and yaps in a video and a viewer or listener. I've always tried to establish that line very, very clearly, because I do believe that there's so much parasocial going on. That's not to blame anybody. I just think that's like how the circumstance came. I'm that type of guy that, like, I'm really, really selective. I think, just me being real and being pretty open-minded, because, like, I don't judge the path that people are taking. But if I see that you're advertising yourself in a certain manner and you're not delivering the product, yeah, I'm gonna step away from that. But it doesn't mean that I think lesser of you. That just means that most likely looking at somebody who's trying to figure it out. And how can I blame anybody for that? I've been there. I'm still there. At the age of 34, I can wholeheartedly, chest out, no shame, say that I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't think you're ever gonna figure it out, because it keeps changing all the time. People evolve, life evolves, priorities change. Like when I was a kid, Twitch and YouTube wasn't a priority. Twitter wasn't a priority. I don't even think, I know, none of these things were even like existing at that point in time. And even when PCs and the internet started to resurface, you were like, it's so weird to see. It's so weird to see like the dynamic change of like how, for me and my generation, we were told like, don't talk to strangers on the internet and you don't know who's sitting on the other side. And now I can look back at it and it's not with the fear that my parents had, but there's still truth to it, There is that aspect of, I've met so many people who have presented themselves in one way, and then when you get down to it, the facade is just dropping, and they're not at all what they want to be or what they're trying to be. And some are just straight up fake, just to fit in, just to adapt. And I think, without wanting to be harsh on it, but I think that is legitimately one of the things that confuses me so much. And I think it's because I'm not able to, plain and simple don't think I'm sympathetic or empathetic enough to understand how you don't foundationally know who you are and what drives you fundamentally to being the person that you are or that you even want to become. Because I see people switching up all the time. And we're talking like weeks to months. It's not just like so the best example that I can give you, right, is like I believe that there are goals and you have your dreams and aspirations. And I think a lot of people are confusing those. I think they really struggle to find the difference in those. I think they really struggle to explain and understand those because they tailor make their entire life to those things. And then it's like, oh, this is who I am, right? So I'm sorry. It's just, to me, what you do as like a job, it's not defining of who you are. Like, I'm not a recruiter at night, you know, like when I punch out, you know. And it's just, I don't know, it's strange to me that like people cannot find that balance, and then they have to devote their entire personalities or their entire selves into this thing, right? I understand being driven, and I understand wanting to accomplish and hit your goals and all these things, but like, damn, if you build your entire personality around being some kind of persona, because that's the thing, right? Like, imagine actors being actors 24/7. They have no identity. They're not knowing who they are, you know? That's like the funny part to me, that I'm watching like content creators, I'm watching like streamers and all of this shit, and they constantly have to feel like they're out there. They're constantly in their Discord servers. They're constantly on Twitter. They're constantly on Instagram. Big and small. Like, obviously for the small ones, I think it's way more Discord based and Twitter based. And once you make it a little bit bigger, you know, that's where you start to see it's not really direct communication anymore, but it's more so, you know, posting something on a feed and then hope that it gets a lot of attention and a lot of interaction, and you take your time, you sit there and you like the comments and you comment back on some of them, so you look like you're wanting to interact with your community and all this yeah. And that's just, I don't know, it's I will never be able to understand how you crave to be relevant, I guess is the word. Because I do believe that is genuinely what it is. Like, I look at content creators and you look at their backstory, right? The majority of these people will tell you that they've had a rough childhood, that they didn't get enough attention, they didn't have any friends, they had social anxiety, whatever, ADHD. You know, everybody has something. That's where, like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm so damn blessed, like, because I don't need all that. I don't need to validate. And that's probably why I fail at this. That's why I want to get away from Twitch. I don't want that to be my main thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I love interacting with people. It's my job. Like for 8 hours a day, I do nothing but interact with people all the time. Like maybe not the full 8 hours, but on a really, really busy day, I will actively call out people, interact with them through mails, text messages, iMessage, call them, schedule interviews, have them come in, show them around, do interviews, all these things. And I love it. So, despite being introverted, because trust me, I am introverted, I love my peace. I love to just sit by myself and do this. Where, yeah, I might be sending a message out, and it might only be like 10 people who will watch it, you know. And you know what? I'm so cool with that. It's like it's 10 people where if I can just hit one that like can use this to sleep or can relate or can feel a little bit better or it can inspire to change, it's so cool. You know what I mean? Like I don't need the masses to worship me and talk to me about like, oh my God, like you changed my life. I don't need to have a massive following. I don't need to interact with a bunch of people. I don't need to be relevant. I don't need to be out there. I don't need to be validated because I get all the validation that I need from the places that are important to me. I'm way more of an intimate person, so the validation I want is from my mother. The validation that I want is spiritual, faithful. The validation that I want and need is from the people I love, the people that I consider family, the people that I look at and I think, those are my people. You know, that's my family. Those are the ones that I will do anything for and will give all that I have. And right now I'm living in a world where like that's secondary to the majority of people. And that's crazy to me. People seemingly rather wants to immediately come home from work and stream 5 days a week. Where's the intimacy? Where is the people that you want to spend time with? And I get it, you know, a lot of people will defend it and say, well, I bring them on stream and like we're hanging out, it's just with an audience. But again, where's the intimacy? Where is the deep talk? Where you can let your guard down and not feel watched all the time? But I think maybe that is exactly where I'm failing. Where my struggles are. Because the reality is that it looks like people want that. And I don't know if it's because it's easier to keep up the facade or it's easier to be the character that you want to be. So you constantly need to surround yourself with all these people. And you constantly need to be online and feel seen. And again, feel relevant, because maybe it is in those quiet moments. Maybe it is when you are alone that you feel like, oh, I'm not relevant. I don't like who I am, or I struggle to see what's good about me. And, you know, that's a part of the journey. Like this is coming from a guy who built his entire character for 4 years, being something that nobody, and I mean nobody, could have seen coming. And those memories and those experiences I've carried over to who I am today. But there's some of those things that I'm not proud of. There's some of those things that challenges me on a daily basis. And there's some of those things that really challenges me to do certain things that I know does not align with who I want to be and who I am. Again, fundamentally and foundationally. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about that sense of belonging that I think, I don't know if the world is in survival mode or if this is just a new normal, But I feel like everybody that I see, especially younger than me, are running immediately to live out this PNG tuber, VTuber life, constantly having to be online. First thing they do when they wake up, get into their Discord server. First thing they do when they get off work, prep, get ready to go to stream, get ready to go and entertain the masses. God forbid that we hang out alone. God forbid that we spend time with people that could love us on a way more intimate, way more personal level than the average Joe and Gina who's sitting in our streams, who's sitting in our chats. But I think it's an ego thing. Because imagine this, that you, even if it's just 3 or 4 people, and I can say this because like it warms my heart to see that I have people who watches these videos for whatever reason. I feel, oh wow, it doesn't have 0 views. That's crazy. And I genuinely mean that. And that's despite the fact that I know that I got a brother who's like supportive as ever. And he sits here and he watches and listens to this through and through and gives me feedback, which is crazy to me. Because like, I wouldn't actually think that it would interest him enough. And I wouldn't have anything against it. It's the same thing. When I streamed, all my offline people didn't give a damn. I even told them like I'm streaming. They're like, so what? Because they don't care about Twitch. They don't really play PC. They're like console guys, so they don't really care about it. They're not Twitter guys. They're not really trying to be online that much. That's definitely also a lifestyle choice for sure. But it doesn't change the fact that, you know, I'm not gonna sit and be all up in arms about it and be like, wow, you don't support me, you don't love me, you don't want to show me how much you care. No, because I know they show me on so many different levels, and levels that I need to stay grounded, levels that I need to feel in a spot and in a position where I know that no matter what, I always have a place that is genuinely home. All of this online stuff, I'm a visitor, and I've been lucky enough through those visits to meet some really incredible people that I now genuinely consider family. And to be honest with you, is probably the reason why I'm coming back. Because everything else is so superficial. It is such a waste of time. It is such a minute/hour filler for me to just like wait until I can go to bed and go up and do what is important to me, which is work, making money, making sure I'm taking care of my people. Because that's where I feel like I belong. So when I sit in these moments and I start questioning, do I belong? I always come to the conclusion that I don't. Because I've tested waters on many different boats. Friendships, love, all of these different things. And more often than not, been as steady as of a ride on those boats as the Titanic. I feel like I have hit one iceberg after another and had to take that on the chin. Sometimes sitting being exceptionally humble and thinking like, damn, like I really didn't know myself there. But those are also key elements to making me realize and understanding more, which I love. But that is essentially also why I wanted to talk about these things, because I think, the adversity and the pain and the humiliation that I felt and that I feel is so positive. Like there's so many things that I can do to better myself, whether it is removing myself or spending less time or locking in and focusing on the right things. Like, to me, this is the right thing. And I'm not doing this to get a lot of success. I'm doing this because it's something that essentially me sitting here and giving you an insight to my brain and to my heart, to make you understand that just because I am, I am mad at the world. I am angry. That's the truth. But it's because I feel like the world has left me behind, or somewhere along the line, I jumped off that ship and they never looked for me. I'm also holding myself accountable. I'm holding myself accountable to the fact that, I may have screwed myself over a little bit too. Maybe I should have gotten off at the previous harbor, because now I feel like I have to swim. And I know there's certain people who notice that, like, oh, he's like struggling. My dude is having a tough time. And I appreciate those people. I appreciate those people who are trying to get to the captain and being like, yo, throw out a something. Like, let's try and get him. Let's get a rescue mission going. And they're doing their hardest to mix and match between understanding me and understanding how I feel and being respectful about that, while they're still doing their own thing and living the way that they want to, which is more of a modern day way. It is more like the current way of making their money through Twitch and getting their name out there and getting the recognition, being super active on Discord, constantly keeping themselves busy and all these different things. And they know I love them. So it's not a diss, it's not me saying, oh my god, it's because you're insecure and you need to figure yourself out. No. Because maybe that's their journey. I didn't have that journey. The journey came to me when I was like almost fully developed, and like not fully developed because I do believe we can develop all the time, but I was already so fundamentally and foundationally locked in that I knew who I was and what I wanted to represent, who I want to be, what I want to be able to live by, the traits that I want people to be able to point at me and go and be like, oh yeah, that's Ronnie. No matter if I go under the name Rons or if I go under the name Ronson as I used to, or whatever, it doesn't matter. People should be able to look at me, point at me, and say, like, that dude is the same through and through. Maybe with some minor tweaks and changes, because every relation is different, every group is different. But the core essence is I am the same through and through. And I think I can do that. I think I can pride myself on that. A lot of people don't know this, but almost every single alias or gamer tag or whatever that I've had, with the exception of when I used to do Slade way back in the day, and that was a reference to Slade Wilson, also known as Deathstroke in the DC universe. Every single name that I've had, maybe with the exception of like a couple I don't want to talk about, but they are essentially from offline merging into online. I was called Tony quite a bit when I was way younger, and that kind of carried over to my PlayStation network and all these different things. It was because I did an amazing Italian accent when I was a kid, like a mob kind of kid. We used to play like role-playing mafias and stuff like that an awful lot. Ronson was my friends. I can't even remember why that originated, why we went with that. I think it was basically like something to do with the Vikings, maybe. Not certain. And Ron's the recent one, the current one that I'm using now, was actually a co-worker of mine on my former job who was like, hey Rons, I was like, oh, that's new. She was like, yeah, I don't know. It just sounds good. And I sat with it and I was like, you're absolutely right. That does sound, actually sounds pretty nice. And then I just ran with that, made that my thing, and that's stuck ever since. I don't think I'm ever going to change that, to be honest. Like, it's because it's real, you know. It's like just a abbreviated, like a little mixed version of like Ronnie, but just cool. I don't know if it's cool, but it's I think it's great. It's fine. It's kind of like the only thing I hate about it is like the like parallel to tens when you play Valorant. It's because like I feel like it's such an insult to tens. It's an insult to me. He's not nearly as funny as I am. Sorry. Goofy, yeah. Yeah, so like I feel like I've always carried that. Like, again, it's coming down to the point of like authenticity, right? Even as a kid, I wanted to carry myself into those type of ventures, you know. I wanted it to be relatable. I didn't want to get lost in the sauce. And back then, you know, like I didn't meet half as many fake people as I do now. People who can say one thing in the span of a week, and then less than a month later, like their entire landscape has changed, you know. Like the amount of people that I've spoken to are like, oh no, I'm just gonna stream for fun and it's just gonna be a hobby and all of this and then as soon as they get a little bit of attention and it starts to have wind in the sails, you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh no, yeah, actually I want to like do full-time content, da 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 da. It's like, I have no issue with it. I get it. It's insecurity. You think you're gonna fail, so therefore you're playing it safe and you're gonna be like, nah, it's just for fun, right? Because it's easier to fail when it's just for fun. It doesn't hurt as much, right? It's like having a dream or even a goal die right in front of you as you go on and advertise that to everybody. Yeah, that's painful, right? You have to admit defeat. But it is like, oh, it's just fun in games. And like, we've all done it in games too. It's like, oh, I'm just fooling around. Like, I'm not even locked in. You sit there and you're like, damn, man, what's going on? You know? Because we don't want to admit when we're bad at something. That hurts. It's like tearing inside of us, right? To have to sit there and be like, oh, I'm so bad, and genuinely mean it and express that it annoys us, because it is something that's supposed to be fun, right? So I get it. But that's also why, like, again, I'm as real as it gets. When I was thinking about doing schedules and I went into my NSFW era of like, oh, you're redeemed for a good girl and blah, 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 blah. Like, that was a massive failure on my part, because I felt like all the effort and everything that I tried to do, like I saw some reward in terms of money, and I saw some reward in terms of people genuinely seeming to like wanting to be around. But then when I reflected on it and I sat with it, I also realized it was for all the wrong reasons. It was for all the wrong reasons. And I understand you can't just go out and handpick your audience and be like, oh, no, so she's here for the content, not for the voice. Oh, he's here for like genuinely wanting to be a friend, not just like to go into this e-girlville that he thinks that I've established, like this harem that I got going on, just because I have girls in my chat and in my server and all that. You're not able to do that. You always have like those who follow for the reasons you genuinely don't want them to follow you for, and you can't control that. That's also where I think a lot of streamers are lacking so much accountability in terms of why. Because this is essentially why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to YouTube because I don't want that, right? And if I got that, don't get me wrong, like I'm not a hater on if you sit here and it's because you like my voice. Great. appreciate it. I take it as a compliment. But I have the lesser direct contact. I don't have to sit and interact with it directly. And I'm not falling into this pit of looking and being like, oh, if I talk more like this, and if I say these type of things, and if I have these redeems, and if I do this in game, it will make me more popular or more seen, or I will attract more people. No, the people who are here are genuinely here because they care about me and what I think and what I feel. Because like, there's no other reason for you to be here. There's way better ASMR out there that you can fall asleep to. There is way more higher quality produced and released products than from me, you know, and then I'm completely okay with that. I want this to be raw. I want this to be like, I'm so glad that I can keep it a buck and be like, great. And say like, for the ones who are here, whether it is 40 something views, 1 like, 3 likes, 8 likes, I think the last video had like 13 views. That's 13 views. That's crazy to me that people actually take their time to let this video roll, even if it's just running in the background. That's like crazy to me. It's almost an hour of your day that you devote and dedicate to either like just go into the video and play it. Like, for all I know, you can go and not listen to a word that I say, and it's completely okay. The fact is, you are aware enough, because I don't post this anywhere. I don't share this anywhere. I put it on Twitter, that's it, and I have no Twitter followers. Like, I do have, but they're not interactive. It's so rare. And again, I'm so okay with that. And that's also like my testament to it. Like, this is my proof. I don't care about how many people and how much outreach this has, because the reality is, like, I want real. Because I can't expect to sit here and be real and attract a bunch of fake. It can happen for sure, don't get me wrong. People do this for their own reasons. But I'm talking about authenticity. I'm talking about real. And because I do that, and because the content is that, I can't sit and expect that it's going to hit a bunch of people in a very, very fake world, in a very, very fake environment, a very, very fake platform. I know the majority of people who are watching YouTube, they're doing Twitch, or they're being on Twitch. It's the space, it's the stratosphere of where we consume. Like, I'm even on Twitch, and I hate the fact that I am on Twitch. I don't want to be on Twitch. I really don't. But I'm still doing it for some reason. I think it's to support, and I think it's because I'm curious. I think it's FOMO. I think it's like, I don't want to miss out on something. Yeah, it's strange. I'm still trying to figure that out. The message that I want to leave you with is that if you have doubts, don't give up, but be cautious. More often than not, your gut feeling is right. I've been proven right over and over and over again. When it comes to myself, when it comes to people, when it comes to environments. More often than not, what you feel in your gut is what your brain is trying to process and tell you. You've thought about things and they go straight past your heart because your heart is not rational, but your gut is. The unfortunate reality is, spoke a lot about is not being directed at anybody. How it is I can take from the experiences that I've had, recent as much as way back, years. People will say and do whatever they want to keep you around, to not lose you, while they're going to do their own thing. People will always and forever try to not even cherish, but own and label the comfort that you gave them as something that they are entitled to have. And it's a selfish need. Now, that being said, I don't believe there's anything wrong with that, because more often than not, these people are not understanding. I'm gonna put myself in that, not understanding that we're doing something that potentially is gonna hurt the other person is logically right. If I'm doing something that makes me happy, that should make everybody happy, right? But we can't. So understand that, don't get angry at people for doing their own thing, for not understanding your POV. They haven't lived the same life as you do. They haven't lived the same life as you have. And they're not going to live the same life as you're going to. Emotional intelligence is developed through experience. And it's developed through allowing yourself to sit and process things. And you usually have to do that alone. That's why there's so many people out there who seem highly emotionally unintelligent. I'll even dare to say straight up just unintelligent. They don't see logic. They don't see reason. They don't see beyond their own needs. And that's because their parents has pushed them to believe in themselves and whatnot. And you have the different end of the spectrum. The ones who had no support system, who was told that they were never good enough. They should do more. They were destined for more. And now, when they get a taste of that, they desperately don't want to let that go. So they forget everything that they've said in the past about who they are. Because now they feel this thing. They want to keep this thing for more than anything, because they remember who weren't proud of them. They remember who weren't supportive. They remember the feeling of being alone in a house, surrounded by what they know as family, but it didn't feel like a home. So once you go to those places where you get that enhancement and you get that love and you get that support, that's home. And I can say that because that's what I've done. I was supported through and through. I was overly supportive. I was being told that I could be whatever I wanted to be. I had a mother showered me with encouragement and love and looked past all of the mistakes that I made. And I had a dad who was not really in touch with what I was doing. And because of that, I screwed up royally and took some paths that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. And I am reaping everything that I sowed. And there are seasons where I have to go back to get that crop. And it tastes horrible. And it will follow me through and through and through. But I'm okay with that. I love adversity. I love being reminded of why I failed. It makes me realize that I never ever want to go back to that. It's lessons, it's experience. It's great. So, final words. Don't expect people to understand your point of view if they haven't seen it, they haven't lived it, and they haven't experienced it. They can imagine. The thing about imagination, that it's fantasy, it's dreams. It's not concrete, it's not rational. Let people make mistakes. Honor your own self-respect. Leave them at bay if you must. I know it hurts. I know it sucks. Sometimes that's what we gotta do. My name is Ronnie. I appreciate you being here. You made us through this video so far. Greatly appreciate a like. I'm not trying to become one of them YouTubers, but it does give me an idea of who have watched the video till the end. And as always, if you have any topics you want to hear me talk about, if you have any things that you want me to deep dive into, if you have any feedback, it is more than welcome. I will be opening up my Discord server, not for a community purpose, but for a announcement purpose of when I post YouTube. I will also be looking to doing my story project, as I spoke about the last time I was on Twitch, which will be a separate playlist, so don't worry, we'll still have these type of rants. And Twitch, I will be going back on Twitch, not as a form of becoming a streamer, because no, but as a form of giving you insights into the story, what you can expect, what you can look forward to in future videos. To be honest with you, to plug old videos. I'm not doing this for money, I'm not doing this for views, but I'm doing it for enlightenment. Call me crazy, call me arrogant, but I believe I have something that I can bring to the table. It's just a matter of people want to listen and interpret it. And if anything, if you think I'm arrogant, if you think I'm in the wrong, challenge me. Because if there's anything that I love more than a good challenge, it is love. And I believe that love can grow from solving disagreements. I believe that arguments and discussions are the root of growth in many ways. But please allow me to challenge your mind, and I allow you to come and challenge mine. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I bring something to the table. Whether you want to sit down and dine and eat with me, that's up to you. Anyways, I appreciate you all who are watching, listening, giving a damn. And I hope you have an incredible April. I will probably post a little bit more in April, but I hope you didn't get fooled too much. There's no foolery in this one. It is all real. Just fooling people is a deception. Also, cheap plug, Shiru posted a video on April Fools. I'm gonna post this after so you see it, but yeah, bye.